The Quarantine Chronicles.
Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. This is episode number 3 of the Quarantine Chronicles. Today's date is April 27th, 2020. As always, my name is Bill, and I'm joined here today with Connor and Steve.
Yo.
How you guys doing on this beautiful quarantine day?
Pretty good. It's a nice day.
Yeah, I was doing pretty well until the Eagles draft, and the NFL draft commenced a few days ago. Eagles made some shoddy picks in the first 2 rounds. Not too thrilled about.
So, has anyone encountered anything new or interesting in the past week?
I've been listening to the new Swans album. It's from like October or something, but I never got around to it. People who are interested could maybe check out Hum or Annaline, maybe.
Nice. What about you, Steve?
Yeah.
I know this will be a 2/3 majority appreciation. Lamb of God released another new track from the self-titled album coming out in July. It's now the 3rd track off the album called Colossal Hate. Bill, I mean, I know me and you disagree with the quality in terms of the other 2 songs and its relation, but I honestly, in my opinion, I think it's the best one of the 3 so far. And I mean, that might be biased because I've listened to Memento Mori and Checkmate quite a few times, so this being new, I think it still hasn't, like, set in on an equal playing field yet.
I mean, well, this is actually my newer interesting, too. I heard it, and honestly, I don't feel like it's the strongest track they put out yet. However, I am excited to hear the rest of the album. And, I mean, not that I think, like, Checkmate or Memento Mori was, like, better, per se. I just felt like Checkmate and Memento Mori, I had more of an inclination to fucking, like, groove out to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just the second, or with Colossal Hate, you get to hear more of like Cruz's drumming like capabilities. Like there's a lot of that double kick that goes on that really reminds me of Chris Adler. And then it's like super thrashy. Like there's a lot of like thrash influence in it.
Yeah,
I think, compared to the other 2 as well.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like it kind of reminded me of like the earlier days of Lamb of God. It reminded me of like fucking like Gospel or Palaces and shit like that. Like, it reminded me of, like, the old Lamb of God.
I think when that album comes out, Bill, we need to put up, like, a poll and say, like, do we think, like, Lamb of God is going in a better direction now with Art Cruz? Was there, like, toxicity with Chris Adler? Was the writing capabilities limited? Like, what really has happened with Lamb of God? Because, I mean, like you said, me and you discussed, everything after Sacrament was, like, pretty mediocre compared to everything prior to Sacrament.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't want to say, like, a
little bit of a bright light.
Yeah, and I don't want to say, like, Chris Adler was the weakest link in the band, but...
No, absolutely not.
But, like, by what I've heard in interviews that I've read and everything, I mean, like, it came straight from the horse's mouth. Randy said flat out that Art Cruz, like, breathed new life into the band. And whether or not you should take that as a negative thing, I mean, I guess it's kind of up to the listener's discretion. Me, personally, I feel like maybe because Chris Adler was, like, a major contributor in the songwriting process, that maybe he was kind of, like, laxed on shit, or, like, I'll just let this fly. Because, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
even Sacrament was good, dude.
Yeah, bottom line, in terms of talent, like, there's not many drummers that compare to Chris Adler. Like, Chris Adler is always going to be one of my favorite drummers, at least of that genre. But, I mean, that's like the, equivalent of saying, like, which guitarist would you rather have, in a sense of, like, James Hetfield or Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, Yngwie Malmsteen is just way more talented for the guitar, but I mean, personality-wise, I wouldn't want to even fucking, like, go to McDonald's with Yngwie Malmsteen, to be honest with you.
That's funny.
Like, for real.
But yeah, Lamb of God's new song, new Colossal Hate. Go check it out. I mean, I think it's pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get on to On This Day in Mini Music History. You want to lead us off, Connor?
1987, we got U2 make the cover of Time magazine with the headline, Rock's Hottest Ticket. It's funny, I've been on Rate Your Music lately, doing reviews and such, and I've been going through the years and looking at the songs that are like the highest ranked. I've been going from like 1987 to like 1995, and every time I see a U2 song or album, I just give it 0.5 stars to try and bring them down a couple pegs.
It's so fucking petty. I love it, dude.
Hey,
It's so awesome.
someone's got to knock these fuckers off
Yeah,
their
they
stupid
really do,
fucking
dude.
pedestal.
Yeah, if we
Disgusting.
haven't done enough already, we definitely need to everyone band together, rate your music, rate fucking
Everyone get your ass
U2.
on, rate your music, and
If
give
we
everything by U2 a 0.5 out of 5 stars.
Now that you've mentioned that, I'm probably, because I mean, seriously, anybody could do that very simply. I'm going to at least get everyone in my family, especially during these quarantine times filled with boredom, to just, I'm going to like text my sister who doesn't even like listen to music, like, yo, do me a favor. I need you to go on to rate your music. I need you to search up U2. I need you to rate everything on there a 0.5. Everything.
They're gonna fucking see
Yeah,
like an
plenty of time.
increase of this, and then they're gonna trace it back to Connor.
I got
totally
like
fine.
5.
This is nothing wrong.
I was doing this shit for like 2 hours last night, and I got like 5 pop-ups from Rate Your Music that were like making me do like captchas and shit because it was just like, you are a robot. What are you doing?
Right.
They're obviously
Like, there's
I'm
no
like,
way
"This
something
this guy,
wrong
there's
with
no
you."
way a real person hates U2 this much. It can't be.
They haven't met Steve Hyman.
I am
Yeah, they
I am a
haven't
killing-
met us yet. I'll still never forgive them, man. My first iPhone was absolutely fucking tainted with that album.
Yeah, like honestly, at the end
My
of the day, it
OCD
made your
was
iPhone
triggered.
virtually worthless.
Yeah, it really
Uh,
did.
I got this
I'm
brand
a
new
killing machine
$1,000
sent
cell
to the
phone. Now
internet
it's
to destroy
trash.
you.
Yeah,
too.
I took my 5C to the pawn shop. Like, oh, U2 on here. I
Whoa,
can't take this. I'm sorry.
this is
Yeah.
that's
And
how
I'm
you
like, don't worry,
classify. Huh?
The worst was like, don't worry, I'll just delete it from my music library. Nope, that wasn't happening.
Well, that's the thing.
that album that was on the iPhones was the only album I didn't have to fuck with because it was already about a 0.5
Alright.
out of 5.
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
awesome.
It's just like if you had like a 5C or you still have it now, it's probably worth more money. Like, you know,
Yeah.
pre the virus, like pre the U2 virus. What was that album called?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Songs of Eden or something?
Songs of
Yeah.
Innocence or Songs of Experience.
Songs of
There's 2
Innocence.
them.
There we go. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So bad.
It's just like you go to sell a 5C and like when you take it to like the cell phone thing at the mall where it like recycles your phone, it asks you, is this pre Songs of Innocence or post Songs of Innocence? And if you select
that's a huge
pre,
deal
it's worth
breaker.
more money.
Yo, the worst is like if I had no signal and I could play downloaded music, the only album available to
Yeah.
me was that YouTube album, and I'm like,
It was just like,
I'd
yeah, I'm still
rather-
not going to
like,
listen
dude,
to
I would
it.
sit on like a train, like the Paco coming back from Philly or something. It'd be like a 30-minute train ride back to Collingswood, and I would rather listen to someone puke on the train than fucking play that U2 album with
That's
no
fucking
signal.
Literally.
Like, it was that bad.
That's so
I'd rather
funny.
just not have my music on.
I guess Steve, do you want to hit 2003 here? This is something that's
Yeah,
near and dear to you.
2003, who just celebrated a birthday a few days ago. Iggy Pop reunites with the Stooges for the first time in 30 years to close out Coachella Festival.
That's pretty
um,
cool.
Yeah, that's
See,
awesome.
why is
I-
Iggy Pop allowed to close out Coachella and no one gives a fuck? But if Rage Against the Machine wants to play Coachella, it's sell out, fucking fakes, phonies. Like,
Yeah, I know that's super. Well, you also have to understand 2003. I mean, that's before like the huge social media wave. So I mean, I'm sure there was a lot
True.
of people saying that. But
Yeah.
when social media influences, then other people think it like, oh, these people are respectable. They think they're selling out, so I have to think so as well.
yeah,
Like, that's what's become the age of social media.
Everybody
I've,
has a voice.
I've soured a
though.
bit on Iggy Pop.
Question for both of you: Iggy Pop solo or Iggy with the Stooges? Which is better?
1,000% with the Stooges.
I agree.
There's no comparison.
Agreed.
Yeah, no comparison. I mean,
That
like
Stooges album, Fun
the
House,
one-
and fucking Raw Power are absolutely
the one
essential.
Iggy Pop album is worth it. Lust for Life, and then
No, the
wait, maybe-
Idiot's pretty good too.
yeah, and the Idiot, yeah, too.
The
Sorry,
Idiot's
he's got
pretty
2
good,
good
too.
albums. But I mean, I would take Funhouse and Raw Power over those albums every
Yeah,
day.
I would take even the self-titled, the Stooges album. Just by yeah.
I could. The first one's not my favorite, but I do like it.
1969, dude.
Yeah, it's great, but it's not my favorite. Like,
yeah,
yeah, and it's got "I Want to Be Your Dog." Yeah, it's good.
man, that's a good. Album.
Well,
But
Bill,
anyway,
what's up?
3 years later,
What do you bet?
huh?
Whoa, Bill, I didn't get your insight on that. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I said definitely with the Stooges, 100%.
Definitely with the Stooges.
Oh hell yeah.
Alright. Raw, like good things.
Now, in speaking of, leather-skinned sellouts, in 2006, The 62-year-old Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones falls out of a palm tree while vacationing in Fiji and goes to the hospital with a concussion, creating a rare news event on the island.
Yeah, those natives are probably like, this is fucking bullshit. We like have no negative press ever coming out of our island.
Yeah, and
The
this
only thing
fucking
people really
asshole
know us
shows
for
up.
is our fucking water. And now Keith Richards got to come over here. Like 62 years old. What are you doing climbing a palm tree?
They're
You
sitting
fall out
there,
of a palm tree.
like, this leather-skinned sellout.
Yeah, he was definitely not wearing a shirt. He's in Fiji. But how did he even get into the palm tree? Who
He's
allowed
probably
a
chased-
62?
He's probably chased up the fucking palm tree by the angry locals who are probably tiring of his bullshit rock star behavior.
Probably.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's definitely true.
Keith Richards is definitely my least favorite, like, Rolling Stone, or actually, he's probably my least favorite guitar icon. Like,
he's
for
probably
real.
my favorite Rolling Stone, but I'm not that big on the Rolling Stones, so it's not saying much.
No, I'm not a fan of the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them, but I don't love them. Like, I'll take them or
Aerosmith
leave them.
before Rolling Stones any day.
Same,
100%.
I'll take
Yeah,
Tours
and
in the
probably,
Attic.
Honestly, I talk a lot of shit. I mean, but even the Beatles, to me, it's like I would pick and choose. I think the Rolling Stones have a lot more hits that I would listen to, but overall, as a career and personality, probably take the Beatles at the end of the day. Hate to say it.
I'm weird with the Beatles. Like, my favorite Beatles album is Magical Mystery Tour.
Really?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
You like that better than Revolver?
100%.
Wow.
It's good.
I just learned something today.
All right, 2012, we got Bobby Dylan receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor awarded to a United States civilian citizen from Barack Obama. Dylan is only the 29th musician to receive the award. Previous recipients include Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, and Irving Berlin.
What a fucking list.
Yeah, right.
What a bunch of mothballs. I mean, I guess I'll take Frank Sinatra and Aretha Franklin, but I could really give two shits about Bob Dylan or Irving Berlin.
Yeah.
Bro, you don't like Bob Dylan?
Not particularly anymore.
Unbelievable.
He's kind of like the 60s hipster when I look at him now. That's how.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, but in that time, you didn't have really any type of comparison. I mean, for Blonde on Blonde, Highway, Blood on the Tracks.
Bro, if you want some Bob
Bringing
Dylan
It All
CDs,
Back Home. I mean, these are all great albums.
If you want some Bob Dylan CDs, I could part with a couple for sure.
I'll take them, absolutely.
It's funny.
Dude, go ahead.
After watching that Bob Dylan documentary that we did a while ago, the Rolling Thunder review, I actually became less of a fan, lesser than I was prior to watching it.
He's an asshole.
He's
a fake.
We've discussed this in a previous episode, man. At the end of the day, it's about the music, and I'll listen to Blonde on Blonde.
Blonde on Blonde is not one of the CDs I'll be giving you.
Oh, wait. So we're getting to this point, and you're not willing to part with that specific CD?
No, I still like Freewheelin'. I still like Highway. I still like Blonde on Blonde. But the rest of them you can probably.
There's still a small place in your heart for Mr. Zimmerman, I see.
Yeah, you're going to get the self-titled. You're going to get Another Side of Bob Dylan and Love and Theft. And hopefully you're happy with that.
You don't have John Wesley Harding with All on the Watchtower on it?
Bro, I have 7 Bob Dylan CDs I gave up. I was like, I don't need any more of this shit.
Unbelievable.
And
Not Blonde on Blonde.
I'm trimming down to 3 or 4. I'm debating on whether I want to give you Desire or not, because I really do like Hurricane.
Yeah, Hurricane is very good.
I don't know, man. He had a couple big strikes for me, like that Super Bowl commercial I didn't vibe with that he did a couple years ago.
Which one was that?
It was like for Ford or something. I think it was like advocating for Ford Motor Companies, like acting like they were like down and dirty, and like he totally sold his image to Ford. Like he totally allowed Ford to co-opt his like reputation.
Another leathered skin sellout.
Yeah. And I read about like when Heart of Gold by Neil Young came out in the 70s. Apparently Bob Dylan like was furious and like tried to get like the song's release stopped because he thought like Neil Young like completely ripped them off, and I'm like, dude, you don't own the acoustic guitar and the harmonica. Like, get the fuck over yourself.
Oh, so that's what your problem with Bob Dylan is.
There it is. We finally got it. I didn't even have to say anything.
Well, you don't fuck with Neil like that, and then
The
still
truth
have
comes out.
You can't be fucking with my
Let
boy
me ask you
like
a question. For this reason also, Connor, do you hate Leonard Skynyrd?
that. Yes.
I'm not a fan of Leonard Skynyrd. I'll certainly probably take Bob Dylan over Leonard Skynyrd, but I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's
Leonard
tough, isn't
Skynyrd
it?
was the first. Leonard Skynyrd and Allman Brothers was my first concert.
Yeah, they really hated on Neil though for a bit, man.
And that shit's in history.
Yeah, but you know, Robin Van Zant got buried in a Neil Young shirt, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
shit.
Wait, is it the shirt
They-
that he wore?
They
in
at
that-
least, yeah, the Tonight's the Night shirt. They
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
moved to squash the beef with Neil Young. You know what I mean? Bob Dylan was just like, how dare this Canadian do something 5 light years away from what I'm doing?
Listen here, you maple drinking douchebag.
For real. And like, not for nothing, but Bob Dylan did plenty of appropriating himself. Like, without Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger, there would be no Bob Dylan. And without the British invasion, there wouldn't have been a lot of later Bob Dylan stuff. So I don't know where he gets off telling Neil Young in the 70s that don't forget, Neil Young had already been around for like 6 or 7 years by the time Heart of Gold came out. And all right, so all of a sudden now you're upset that Neil Young makes an acoustic song? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Well, to get into happier topics of conversation here, not that we're running low on ideas or anything, because obviously we're chock full of really good ones. What I would like to discuss today is something we've actually talked about for a while. Video games that have impeccable soundtracks. Like, if you're following us on Facebook and Instagram, you've been seeing that we've done are currently in the middle of our 30-day music challenge. And it's funny. My day one was, I think day number one was like choose a song with a number in the title. My pick was 96 Quite Bitter Beings. I found out that song from Tony Hawk's Pro
Tony
Skater.
Hawk Pro Skater.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got probably
Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah, Tony Hawk 2 was the absolute
Tony Hawk
shit.
2 was some
Or
fire.
day
That
2,
had
that's what it
Adolescence
was.
on it, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had it had Guerrilla Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some fire.
I
on Tony
remember
Hawk
what
2.
was the one that opened up? I remember opened up with TNT. And I remember just being like a little kid, and like I remember the
TNT
video.
by AC/DC?
Yeah, it was like a drop in from like a half pipe view, and like as a little kid hearing
Oh.
that song, I was like,
You know what?
All right,
I feel like that does ring a bell, and I don't know. It was a skate game.
yeah, it was a Tony Hawk game. It was I'm gonna look.
It
up
must have
and
been
send it to
Tony
you guys
Hawk
afterwards.
1.
Yeah, it wasn't 3.
It
I
must-
don't know if,
Yeah, it must have. I feel like it
Okay.
honestly must have been 1, the first one.
I'm gonna look this up.
Well, I guess while you're
Hold
looking
on.
that up, I mean, what we could do is we can all pick like a game and kind of talk about the soundtrack involved with it. Obviously, we don't really want to touch on games like Rock Band or Guitar Hero because
Yeah.
let's be real, those songs are kind of catered to like the musician or people that
Yeah.
really enjoy like rock music, and I feel like those would just be entirely too obvious to do. Like, oh yeah, I liked how Cowboys from Hell and Iron Man was on Guitar Hero 1.
Yeah.
For me, I gotta go. The first two or three Twisted Metals with like White Zombie and Rob Zombie all over them and stuff.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
That was some fire.
Wasn't More Human Than Human on one of those soundtracks?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely Dragula.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Did I am the
By the
one.
way, that Tony Hawk I was mentioning came out in 2003. It was 4.
Oh okay,
The
Tony
intro
Hawk
to
4.
Tony Hawk 4. Yeah.
Okay, well that's cool.
So yeah, but I was thinking because like when I'm 12 years old, man, like I was actually skateboarding at that point. I remember I had a girl brand because Eric Costin was like my favorite skater, and I had a girl brand fucking deck, and I was like really into skating at that point. But just like that way that intro to TNT starts out. I mean, at 12, I don't really have too much musical background. I'm like still developing, so that was like super cool. But all those soundtracks for those Tony Hawk games were the shit.
Is there any
This is
more
kind of
notable
ridiculous
tracks,
though.
Connor?
Huh?
Do you have any more notable tracks from the Twisted Metal franchise?
Dude, I'm on Wikipedia right now trying to find, and they don't have a soundtrack section for the games. So it's like I don't.
I got the 10 songs.
What on Twisted Metal? That was only 10 songs.
These are all the fucking originals.
Yeah, that's what I played was Twisted Metal 1, 2, and 3, and maybe a little bit of Black.
The original
Tony Hawk.
songs, like the sounds that they add, like kind of like Hold on.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe they don't have this shit on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, Twisted Metal 2 was my favorite. I'm looking at it now.
Twisted Metal 2 was a shit.
Yeah, Twisted Metal kicked fucking ass. All right, well,
PlayStation was a super underrated system.
Well, I guess
I know what you're gonna mention. So, Bill, do yours because I have a story about related to your pick.
Okay, so
What the fuck?
If listening to music in a video game is your thing, this video game has something for everybody. This was a groundbreaking franchise, and in my opinion, minus the newest version, which is 5, I believe this to be the greatest installment of said gaming franchise. The franchise is Grand Theft Auto. The title is Vice City. Now, when you start the game...
I was going to say, they all have pretty good soundtracks.
Oh, they all fucking do.
Yeah.
But, like, me, like, I love the 80s. Like, the 80s is, like, my fucking, like, wheelhouse. Like, so this is, like, perfect for me. Like, when I remember getting this game as a kid, or actually my dad got it one year for Christmas, and obviously it was rated M for mature, so my parents wouldn't let any of us play it, which is surprising now if you guys know my family
I had Grand
history.
Theft Auto 3 right when it came out.
Dude, Grand Theft Auto 3 when it came out, I was it was like 99 when it came out or 2000?
Something like that.
2000, I'd say.
Yeah, so I remember I was in Best Buy with my older cousin at the time. He was like 17 and he bought it and like I played it with him, but I remember like the first scene, like you're in the back of that jail van with 8-Ball and then you break out and like you got out of the van and like beat some dude to death with a baseball bat. So I'm like 9 years old. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever I've ever seen in my life. So I told my dad because of the cover, the way it looked, that it was a Tetris game and it just had some blood and stuff in the game. So like he had to buy it for me. So my dad bought me Grand Theft Auto 3 at like the age of 9. I like never knew what was going on with it. I played that thing in pure secrecy. He even asked me a couple times, like, how come you never play your game? I'm like, I do. I can't show you. And then, then when my dad married my stepmom, Vice City had just come out. So my dad was like, oh, this new game's coming out. Steven wants to get it. Why don't we get the new one for him? So both me and my stepsister got copies of Vice City. Like we played it out in the living room. My stepmom was like furious.
That's so
My
funny.
dad had no clue what this game was about for like 2 years. It was great.
So,
Vice City and San Andreas had the best soundtracks.
I agree.
Dude, just listen to like on the V-Rock station.
Well, hold on. I want to get into this.
Priest.
I want to get into this. So, as like I turned the game on and shit, what initially fucking was like, you know what? I love this fucking game. Was the very first song when you start the game, you go on and you turn on V-Rock, the first song you hear is David Lee Roth's Yankee Rose. And I was like, holy shit, this game has everything. And then, of course, you go down like the V-Rock station. You got Judas Priest, Another Thing Coming, Too Young to Fall in Love by Motley Crue, Peace Sells by Megadeth. You have Love Fist, which is the fictional band, which actually isn't that bad. Twisted Sister, Ozzy, Anthrax, Iron Maiden, Slayer's Rain in Blood, Tesla. Like, it had everything.
You know what song really stuck with me from Vice City?
What?
Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes.
Owner of a Lonely Heart. Yeah, dude.
I'm trying to find what station that was on. Okay.
Bro, they had Michael Jackson, Billie Jean on there. They had Toto Africa. They had Nina's 99.
Well, that song,
bro, they had the Psychedelic Furs on
fascination.
there. Yeah. No, I remember the commercial, though,
We're the
too,
kids
with I
in
Ran by Flock of
America.
Seagulls.
Yeah.
I always remember the commercial with I Ran for Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah. They had
out.
They hit the 80s genres pretty good. They had like, new wave hair metal. They had like regular metal. They had the pop going on. Like they had a bunch of genres going on.
Well, if you guys want to hear it, I actually have
DMC on there.
I have the Vice City.
I remember in San Andreas.
Up.
On San Andreas, the commercial had "Welcome to the Jungle" in it, and I was just like, I need this fucking game. And San Andreas had like I remember you were saying, Steve, that had Tupac, I Don't Give a Fuck.
That
Had
song,
L7.
literally hearing that driving around Los Santos is literally what got me into Tupacalypse Now. I heard that song and I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Whatchamacallit, L7, so Pretend We're Dead's on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
bunch of
with well, obviously, if you've never played any of the Grand Theft Auto games before, there is radio stations, and they all play very, very different music, and they're all basically made to mock normal radio stations. I actually have the list of the Vice City stations up right now. I'll just go through and I'll pick, like the highlights.
Highlight track from each station.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, V-Rock had the list that I had said earlier, probably the standout for that. Well, with it being the game that it is, I would say Raining Blood, because I doubt any radio station was playing that shit in the 80s.
All right.
That's true.
Wave 103.
What's the coolest...
Huh?
What's the coolest song that Grand Theft Auto ever put in a game?
Them Bone. No.
The coolest song?
Head Like a Hole.
Yeah, like, what's, like, the holy shit moment from Grand Theft Auto songs for you guys?
Head Like a Hole.
That really, like, blew me away. It was probably Killing in the Name.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was on San Andreas.
Yeah, Killing in the Name really was like, because you got to figure, like, at this time, again, like, I'm not sitting there listening to Battle of Los Angeles and fucking, especially, Evil Empire and even the, like, I wasn't, like, huge into, like, listening to bands at that point and, like, doing research and stuff. But when I started listening to songs on these radio stations, it, like, open up music, because other than listening to like 102.9 with my father in the car on like long road trips, I never really, you got to figure the access to music we had was strictly CD.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually with LimeWire and everything else, but I mean, to find new music was really difficult.
Bill, you think yours was Yankee Rose?
No, mine was Head Like a Hole from San Andreas.
Okay.
Like that was the first time I've ever heard that song, honestly, was in San Andreas. And I remember thinking like, man, this shit is badass.
I gotta say, I hate to say it, but the song that blew me away the most in San Andreas was probably goddamn Welcome to the Jungle. Because that was like...
Well, you have to think of the time period that it came out.
Yeah, that game came out when I was in like 6th or 7th grade or something.
Yeah, and at that point, Guns N' Roses is the coolest fucking band ever.
Guns N' Roses was my favorite band in that time period by far. And like I was all into like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Michael Jackson and fucking random shit from like the 70s and 80s, Blue Oyster Cult. And
bro, that radio Los Santos station though, I think I listened to more than anything though, with like Nothing But a G Thing.
Oh yeah.
Too Short, The Ghetto.
Yeah.
Check Yourself, Ice Cube, Kid Frost, Cypress Hill, DOC. Like, dude, there was so much on there.
For me though, I was in Florida and that's what everybody else was freaking out about. And I was like already the Guns N' Roses kid type deal. And like for like Guns N' Roses to get put on the commercial and like be the bad shit on there, I was like, fuck yeah,
bro. Listen, I just want to go
everybody's down. Everybody's gonna be back into GNR now.
It is funny.
This was like 05, 06.
But like in hindsight, like if you go down the station for Radio X, dude, Helmet, Unsung, Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus, Faith No More, Midlife Crisis, Danzig's Mother, Living Color, Code of Personality, Primal Scream, Guns N' Roses, L7, Ozzy Osbourne, Soundgarden's Rusty Cage was on there.
Dude, that just reminded me.
Stealing. Yeah.
You know what other game I got to bring up?
What?
Road Rash. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, fuck yeah.
No, dude. I don't remember that.
Dude, that was like all Soundgarden and shit. That was like, I'm about to see if I can find the soundtrack for that.
Yeah,
Carry on.
Yeah, dude.
While you're thinking that up, I want to bring up another one. Need for Speed Underground 2. Or Need for Speed Underground. When you start that bitch up, fucking Get Low comes on by Lil Jon.
Dude, Road Rash is literally like the first 4 songs on the soundtrack are Rusty Cage, Outshine,
Kickstand, Super Unknown. Wow, dude.
Dude, that's where I know Super Unknown from, because I used to, like, when I first got into Soundgarden, I used to always, dude, Swerve Driver? What was I playing? Like, Super Unknown, that song, I was always just kind of like, yo, this song fucking spits, but like, whatchamacallit, I didn't know where I knew it from. Like, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I know this wasn't ever played on the radio a lot, and I'm fairly certain now that it's from goddamn Road Rash.
Yeah, dude, that Need for Speed Underground, the first one was pretty good. It had like Rancid on there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Cool on there.
Bill, you would have loved Road Rash.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have played Road Rash in like 98 or 99, that probably would have been your favorite game of all time. Dead ass.
Yeah, Road Rash was a shit. Yo, that Need for Speed Underground is like the essential for 2000s hip hop, dude. Lil Jon's Get Low, Mystical smashing the gas.
Wait, is that? Are you looking at Underground 2?
Remember Midnight Club?
No, Underground first one.
The first one?
Yeah, with the orange car on the cover.
Yeah, because I'm looking here and I see like 2 Lane Blacktop by Rob Zombie.
Oh hell
fucking
yeah,
Static
that was
X.
the shit in that game. Yeah,
they had that as well. But I'm saying they also they're on both. The main menu, the default music they have here is like Nate Dogg, PD Pablo, T.I.
Yeah,
but yeah, they also had Rob Zombie's 2 Lane Backstop, Rancid, Out of Control. Yeah, dude, Static X the only.
Yo, it's really a shame.
Fuel.
It's such a shame that rap doesn't build off of that stuff.
I know, dude, and that's just crazy because there's a lot of bands that you can hear today. Like I've recommended them before. That I like talked about them at least. That band Earthless, where they have like that really good like 60s, 70s like jam rock sound, like that doomy rock Black Sabbath.
Oh hell
sound.
yeah!
But like all hip hop today is like
it's too fast now.
Like they have no clue of rap prior. It's almost like they have no blueprint that they're going off of, and
they completely. Rap was building off of itself for 30 years, and then in 2010, all the new rappers just said, yeah, fuck everything everybody else ever did. We're just gonna fucking plug in Fruity Loops and go fucking crazy.
Bro, I was on, I have Comcast, and I have MTV Classic, the channel, and I was watching like 90s Nation, or like I Want My 80s, or whatever show it was, where they actually play good music videos. And it was on a commercial. I didn't feel like seeing Adam Levine's face on the Proactive commercial again. So I went next channel up to BET, and they had Hit List on. And I was like, fuck yeah, here we go. Let's listen to some fucking Snoop or Dre or something. And dude, the songs that came on, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, like, you can't groove to it. You can't vibe to it. Like, it's literally just like...
It all got too fast.
It's like, what the fuck is going on?
It got too fast.
Yeah.
I was watching a Redman interview, right? And it was the same shit in the 80s. Like, when rap first started with, like, Sugar Hill Gang and whatever else in, like, the late 70s, early 80s, it was like slow, and then in the 80s, it's like the beats and the rappers started kind of trying to get faster a little bit, and then with like EPMD and a lot of the shit in New York, it was starting to slow down again. And that's like Redman was saying, like, yo, when it started to slow down again and people started to base stuff off of like Parliament instead of like whatever that was really fast and like technical, he's like, people really started feeling it. And that I applied that to today. As soon as I heard him say that, I was like, rap, like, not to turn this into a fucking what's wrong with rap today episode, but fucking they got away from the funk in it. Like, they got away from the bass. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
They forgot where like the roots were in it.
Yeah,
they forgot the musicality of it all that made it sound good. Like, there was actually musicality on fucking Redman albums and Tupac albums.
Well,
and
I'm
Biggie
saying it's
albums.
like,
I agree.
Like, me and Bill watched this video on like who started death metal, right? And it's crazy because they can clearly see like going from bands like Black Sabbath into the new wave of British heavy metal, and have bands like Venom and then Possessed and like Creator, and then all leading up to Death, who became what now death metal is most predominantly known as.
Yep.
You can see literally every cog in the gear that caused something to happen. Like, if you look at late 70s establishment, 80s hip hop into like 90s gangster rap to 2000s hip hop, you can see like the bridges in between. It's almost like there's this huge, like, I don't know where rap totally made that turn, but it's like you can't find many artists to like trigger what caused this new wave of rap and hip hop.
It was the producers.
Total disconnection.
Yeah.
It was the producers. Even Wu-Tang did it, and RZA was their producer. Like, Wu-Tang is like not quite what it used to be. They got away from it's because of all the I think it's because of all the digitalization of recording. Like
I can agree with that.
Like I watched the Wu-Tang Hulu show, and I think it's called Wu-Tang an American Saga, and like they show you like it's what do you call it, like the biopic, it's like a biopic TV show almost, and fucking they like there's a character playing RZA in like 1992, and he's like desperately trying to save up to get this top of the line state of the art $2,000 drum machine in 1992. $2,000 in 92. So that's like probably like $3,500 now.
Yeah.
And fucking, you know, that he knew he needed that machine to get these cool sounds that were flowing through his head. And now it's not like that. Like nobody wants to really have to put in any effort to make music. Everyone thinks like making music should be as easy as possible.
Now we're going to get into our personal suggestions of the week. This week, due to the newest or the new release of it, I'm going to suggest to check out the title track from the Black Dahlia Murder's new album, Verminous. Song is Verminous. If you haven't listened to this album yet, I would definitely suggest to give it a chance. If you're into brutal chugga chugga type nasty death metal on the verge of deathcore type music, because even this being borderline deathcore definitely tickles Steve's fancy too.
Yeah, it's definitely the fine line. Them and Lamb of God, I'll always say that they're the fine line.
This album's new, you said?
Brand new.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, it was
came
out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Came out around the same time. Yeah.
You've been soaking up a good amount of new music.
Oh
Bill?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
What do you got going on, Steve?
Yeah. So because Connor recommended a song off this back on the 30-day challenge, I think it was like the third day or something, I actually went back and listened to the album. It's the 1989 release by Neil Young. The album's called Freedom. The song I'm recommending is track 2, Crime in the City.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That song's awesome.
Nice.
It's like a fast acoustic rock song.
Yeah, it's so good. The lyrics are awesome too.
Yeah, the acoustic rhythm in the verses in those songs is like I don't know why, but that pops in my head all the time.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. So, Connor, I heard that your suggestion of the week kind of turns into our group suggestion. Is this true?
Yeah. All right. So I've been on a Bush kick. The band Bush, not the political leaders. And I'm going to recommend 16 Stone, their debut breakthrough album. I was looking through our Instagram, and I was looking at all the albums that we've recommended over the roughly past year. And, I was like, you know what album belongs on this fucking Instagram page? Fucking 16 Stone. And it's a great album. Like, there's really the only really not so great song on it is the last one, which is Ex-Girlfriend, and that's a 45-second song, and it's basically an intentional throwaway. It's like, and it's I never listened to it because I don't know, I got everything I need out of it years ago, and but it's not bad. It's like it's actually got a decent riff in it, so there's really nothing bad on the album.
If you had to pick a song off of it to suggest, what would it be?
It's super hard with 16 Stone. I'll tell you to pick one. For the casual, if I'm recommending a song to someone who is trying to check out the album, I guess I'll say Everything's Zen.
Nice.
Yeah. But how this segues is, so Bush broke up in 2001. They were apart for like 10 odd years. And when they got back together, they went to record the Sea of Memories at the Sound City studio, which was where Nirvana recorded Nevermind, and Rage Against the Machine recorded their first album, and a bunch of other albums. Rumors, I think, by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Or is it either Rumors or their self-titled album? Something by Fleetwood Mac, some stuff by Tom Petty, some stuff by Neil Young, yada yada. Big studio in LA,
Important
outside
studio.
LA. Yeah, very important. It's probably in the top 20 most important studios of all time, and not just as far as rock goes, just like sound capturing facilities in general. And apparently Dave Grohl, who's like been somewhat affiliated with this studio over the years, stumbled in or something while Bush were recording this album, and Gavin made a joke where he said it's just a shame that we're going to be the last band that gets to like record on this legendary Neve soundboard that they have here. And apparently Gavin thinks that that's why Dave Grohl like went ahead and like bought that soundboard and brought it to 606, where Bush later recorded another album, I think.
That's funny.
And so they've squashed their beef that they had in the 90s, but Gavin jokes that the reason that Dave Grohl had to go ahead and buy that soundboard was because he couldn't stomach Bush being the last band that got to use it.
That's funny. And how this ties in is that our group suggestion for this week is to check out the Dave Grohl directed documentary, Sound City. Basically goes through the process of how Sound City created all these influential and super important albums, and basically why Dave Grohl had to weasel his way into getting this piece of musical history to selfishly keep it all for himself and house it in
Despite
his
Gavin
warehouse.
Rossdale.
He's a smart bastard, though, Dave Grohl, I'll tell you.
Yes, he is. Resilient, fucking smart.
He got that soundboard when it was probably cheaper than it ever was going to be again. Because if that went to another private buyer,
shit, you never touch it again.
he would have never touched it again.
They've been like
Or he
Nirvana
would've only
money.
been touching
Shit.
it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I think he paid like $25,000 for it. I feel like I remember him saying that in the movie. Something like that, maybe $50,000.
They paid $75,000 for
it.
it in the 70s.
Okay, I'm completely wrong. Ignore that.
Maybe 250,000 or 2.5 million.
They reopened Sound City. You know, Sound City reopened,
Yeah.
right? It went open again in 2017. They don't have that soundboard though anymore.
No, because Dave Grohl's got it at 606. There's probably some bullshit where Dave was like, "Don't worry, I'll keep it safe under lock and key." And like, like knock, knock, knock. Hey, Dave, Sound City's open back up. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you already sold this to me."
We should start a petition for the Neve soundboard to be returned to its rightful home at the reopened Sound City. And for Dave Grohl to stop holding it hostage with his money.
Guys, hit it up on Instagram. # return the Neve.
Return the damn Neve.
But yeah, that's funny. Return the Neve.
Because I don't know if you can just book time at 606.
I know Alice in Chains was recording Black Gives Way to Blue there, and they wound up getting kicked out of 606. So Dave Grohl can do one of his projects.
Yeah.
I do know that. That's something
I
I've
would be
heard.
mad as hell. I would be mad as hell if I was in Alice in Chains.
Dude, because it's like...
I'd be like, dude, you don't have a second room?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, Dave, that we're still in the same fucking band and we're coming out with a new album with a new singer, and this isn't something to your liking. I'm sorry, King Grohl.
Yeah, it literally might have been like, we're getting off topic here, but yeah, I don't want to speculate too much on the behind the scenes comings and goings of 606.
I'm trying to find how much he fucking paid for this thing, man. It's bothering me.
That's funny.
If you listeners out
Still trying
there
to find it.
know about this fabled Neve soundboard and how much Dave Grohl had paid for it, feel free to email us at ratmpodcast@gmail.com.
It's very like, it's very like it's like a mystery story, like how it belonged to the Skeeter family since '69. It went for $75,000 in the '70s, and just like it won't tell you how much he fucking paid for the thing.
If you know, please
that's an
drop
Dave
us a
Grohl,
line.
insane
did Dave
figure.
Grohl save rock and roll? Like all these like fable stories, and they just won't tell us how much he paid for the goddamn thing.
But if you guys do know, you can hit us up on our email or our Instagram and Twitter at RETM Podcast or our Facebook page at facebook.com/RATM Podcast. This is another episode of the Quarantine Chronicles in the book. As always, I'm Bill.
I'm Connor.
I'm Steve.
This has been Rage Against the Mainstream. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.